So yeah, let's bring the energy way up this week. Last week was bullshit.
No one orders.
It's not funny, Keith. This is serious business.
At last.
God, how many times do I have to tell you? Welcome everybody this week to the Damage Per Second podcast. This is our third Damage Per Second podcast. I hope you're excited to join us because we're excited to be here. We're bringing the energy way up from last week. Way up. Way above the clouds up. Woo! See, Brett's got the right idea. So this week we're going to be talking about 2015 in gaming. The year is mostly over. You know, the holidays are coming up and then New Year's, so I don't think we're going to be expecting to see too many new releases. I don't know, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong there, but I want to be talking about what our favorite games of the year was. I know that I didn't play too many big releases this year, so I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say. But first, let's talk about what we've been playing this week. I'm going to start this week because you two had the luxury of going first the last 2 weeks. And I know that everybody really they only want to hear from me, and you guys are just kind of filler. So this week I was sick for most of the week, frankly, and then my wife was sick. So I really didn't play that much stuff, honestly. Trying to think, what did I play? I've been playing a lot of these. Well, yeah, I've been playing some StarCraft, like, you know, beyond what I've been recording. Not really anything. Last night, Brett, you and I played. Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. Yeah, that was really fun. I had a great time playing that. So we should stream that some more. And if you're unfamiliar, I have the stream uploaded, and basically, one person has a bomb in front of them, and then another person has a manual, and you can't see what each other sees. You can only talk. You can only communicate to each other verbally. So he had to talk me through disarming different modules. So there's a few different puzzles. It's pretty interesting. I liked it a lot. So I played that. I've been playing some StarCraft. I found some really cool new Warcraft 3 custom campaigns that I'm really excited to get into, and that's pretty much it, I guess. So I guess you know, I'm squandering my going first rights here. So someone else take it over. I guess Keith. What have you been doing?
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Well, so yeah, I've been playing Legacy of the Void. Finished that up this week. That was a ton of fun. I really liked it. I thought that the ending was good, and I'm not gonna spoil it because I know you got a lot of StarCraft fans there. Not everybody may have finished it, but I guess suffice to say, the way people were putting it, I mean, so they said, you know, everybody was saying it was really final. So I just expected like everybody to die, everybody, you know what I mean? Based on how, you know, what people were telling me. But I thought it was pretty interesting the way they did it, and I think that they really wrapped it up nicely in a way that, you know, it was sort of like you get to play as, you know, all three races again. Sometimes it's a little bit jarring because you're like, oh, they want me to play Terran. I haven't played Terran in about 5 years. All right, and this might be a little rough, and then you kind of, but you remember, you'll probably, you know, get your butt kicked on that mission and then figure it out. Now Zerg, I had just played Heart of the Swarm, you know, right beforehand, so it was pretty easy. But I thought it was good, and you know, I thought that they did a good service to the story, and I thought that they did a good service to the games. What else? I've been playing Binding of Isaac a bit with Jen, and you know, that's fun, you know, as always. But unlocking the last character, you gotta donate. For those of you you don't know, to unlock one of the characters in the new Binding of Isaac Afterbirth expansion, you have to donate 999 coins to this machine, or 1,000 actually, I think. And you can only donate, you know, I don't know, maybe like an average of 50 every run that you beat of greed mode, and it just takes forever. I mean, because the runs take a little while, and then if you beat it too much with one specific character, then you won't be able to donate as much in future runs with those characters. And so that's a little rough. In the base game, donating to the shop is different because you have other things that you're trying to unlock, and you can kind of do it as a part of that. But in greed mode, you beat it like, you know, 7 times or something, and you've beaten it with all, you've unlocked everything there is to unlock, and now you're just donating. But anyway, it's still pretty fun. And finally, I just bought and downloaded Galaxy, which is a roguelike space shooter for. I know it's out for PS4, and I don't know what other systems it's out for yet. I don't know if it's out for PC yet, but that's a lot of fun. It's kind of similar to Binding of Isaac in that you can unlock blueprints permanently, which are things you can buy from the shop, weapons and shields and upgrades and that kind of thing. Or you can get temporary. I mean, any upgrade you get in a run is sort of temporary. If you die, you lose it, basically. But that's been pretty fun so far. Honestly, I've only played that today, and the controls get a little getting used to. It's sort of momentum-based flying, so if you're going in one direction, you're going to continue going that direction until you use your thrusters to go in a different direction. They do have a way you can brake, but it's kind of hard to aim and do that, to shoot your enemies while you're drifting around in strange directions. But it's pretty fun. Feels good. And I know the guys at Giant Bomb liked it a lot, so I'm looking forward to playing more of that.
A bomb! Sorry.
A giant one? No!
That's cool. I was going to say, I've been looking for something similar to Binding of Isaac, and I tried getting back into FTL a few weeks ago, and I just remembered how fucking hard that game is, so I just stopped.
I know.
That game is so challenging.
I remember the first time I beat it just streaming, and I had no idea what I was doing, so I'd just pause and be like, alright, the fuck do I do here? And then people would coach me through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the type of game where the magic is quickly squandered once you forget about the game. You need to spend so much time learning everything, and then once you do it, it's fun.
Yeah.
It takes a big upfront investment, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably, I think that's what they're going for in roguelikes like that. The whole point is, the game itself is only about 45 minutes to an hour, but you're supposed to play it again so you get permanent unlocks like that over time. But you need to, you need to learn how to play, so you're, meant to fail a bunch, which can be really discouraging for people, I think. It's going to turn them off to the whole genre.
Yeah. So you just kind of hope that, and you hope that the randomized elements are random enough that it's worthwhile to continue playing this game even though you're getting your butt kicked.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for games like that, Galaxy it's GALAK-Z. That's been pretty fun. And then I've also heard a lot about this game called Enter the Gungeon, which seems even closer to Binding of Isaac, kind of mixed with a bullet hell game. You're in a dungeon, and you pick up guns and gun upgrades and unlock new ones. They also have a dodge roll mechanic, kind of similar to Dark Souls or something, where you have invincibility frames, so you can dodge through bullets if you're kind of trapped. But I haven't played that, but that's another one I'm looking forward to, and I think that's already out on PC, so I might get that pretty soon.
I'm playing a game similar to that. It's called Enter the Gungeon, where you dive inside a Gungan character, and then you slowly kill him from the inside out.
You're a germ inside Jar Jar Binks.
It's been widely anticipated for quite some time.
Sort of like the opposite of Magic School Bus. Instead of trying to cure someone, you're going into a perfectly healthy organism, and you're just trying to, just tear shit out of there and destroy it.
Nice.
So, Brett, what have you been playing?
Well, it's kind of on. It's relevant, but I've really actually been playing a lot of Dota 2. Mainly because there was a new update that released last week, or I guess this past week, where they changed a lot of stuff, and they added a new hero. They changed a lot of the terrain in the map, which, when you're playing the same map for thousands of hours, it's pretty noticeable when they make minor changes. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of that and just kind of losing my mind at people for no reason.
Classic.
It's a real test of anger management. And then, I don't know, I guess I could talk more about Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, because they only really got to see your perspective. But from my perspective last night, I was holding a 34-page printed out booklet and just wildly scrolling through. just, I mean, I'm sure you guys heard it if you were watching live or on his video. It's real frantic, and I was trying to, I was playing by the books. I wasn't looking at his bomb thing at all, and I was looking today, and I'm like, wow, this is way less complicated than I imagined. And it's just real. That's a really unique game because it kind of puts responsibility on both the bomb diffuser and myself, based on which like which puzzle you're doing. Like some of them are more dependent on the person reading the booklet, while others are more dependent on like Justin telling me the right things. And if he tells me the wrong thing, then it's like not on me at all.
That
Like,
was
I think
that was pretty fun. Was like there were some puzzles, and I was like trying to describe the puzzle to you, and I clearly was not doing like giving you the information you needed.
Yeah. Yeah, the maze one in particular, where you have to like, I have to navigate you through a maze, but there's certain walls that you can't pass through.
Yeah.
That was tough. That was a ton of fun. That was one of
Yeah.
the few games that I have had that much fun with.
We did that at a party. I mean, we had just not a party, but we had some people over and, played it. And that game is seriously like insanely fun and creative. It's one of the, I mean, most unique games that I've played in a long time. And the one downside to it, and I don't really see any way around it, is that as you keep going, if you have like a number of people and a group of people there, then everybody gets good at like one, maybe two of the puzzles, and then you
Yeah.
just split it up to everybody. So then you can do, harder and harder rounds, but then every round it's like, all right, Jen, here's the maze, and here are the spots, or like, okay, Adam, here's the, it's a word puzzle, and here's what we got, and then, because there's some things that you can just toss off to people and they can spend the whole time. Complex wires, simple wires, you could just toss it off to someone and they could just spend the whole time working on it.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that complex wires one was terrible.
It took me so long to figure out how to do that. I'm just staring at the stupid Venn diagram. I'm like, what?
I still can. I don't know.
We still-
It
yeah,
made
we
me
got stuck on
realize
that.
I don't think I know how Venn diagrams work or something. Like it made me feel stupid.
Well, there were like 4. It wasn't just a Venn diagram. It was like 4 or 5 Venn diagrams, all overlapping. And it wasn't just that. It was like trying to figure, like, it wasn't just like, does it fall within this area? But then it's, does it fall within the area and then follow the instructions if it does?
Oh, I know. What it really taught me is, like, I'm not sure Venn diagrams are that good at conveying information. Like, this is
Yeah.
not the best way to tell me this information. I think
Really.
it's deliberately, kind of obtuse.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the puzzles, which is sort of the fun of it. But what a great game. We're definitely overdue to play that again.
One of the hardest ones was the numbers for me, because that required me to remember what I had picked in the previous stages, and I just couldn't do it.
Oh,
I eventually got
yeah.
I actually got paper to write it down because I could not remember.
Yeah.
But I would recommend to other people to try it out if you have, like, you need someone to play with. You need one person to play with, but it is incredibly fun. I would highly, highly recommend it.
At least 2 people.
Yeah. But it was awesome.
Only one person needs to buy it on their computer, and then
I also
other people.
I found it interesting because from my end I wasn't watching his stream or listening to the music, and it was just kind of silent on our call, and like it's just reading off the directions leisurely, and like it had its tense moments, but I didn't really get the effect. And then I watched his stream, and this music's playing, and there's like an alarm going off, and the lights blinking as there's a minute left or something, and like, woof, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's intense.
Yeah, that that fucking the alarm. Now you know what I was talking about. It's so abrupt.
Yeah.
Why does that go off? Who set that alarm?
Presumably
Have you guys heard of a
did.
game called Space Team? I think
Uh,
it's mobile, and it's kind of similar, where like everybody has some, it's like you're the crew on the Star Trek Enterprise or something like that, and everybody's got dials and knobs and some controls, and they're responsible for their own controls. And then things happen, like someone will get an indicator, and they have to tell everybody else about the indicator, like, oh, everybody has to tap on their screens right now, or you'll get slime. And if people miss things, then shit happens, like certain controls blow up and indicators burn out, and like slime gets poured in, it's like dripping down your screen, so you can't read everything. And So everybody's got to like keep going as long as you can. I think you get through missions and that kind of thing. But yeah, that's really fun as well. I've played that a couple times.
You know what it strikes me as is board games, basically board games, like digital board games, which I think is awesome.
I'd like more stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, how about another one? Heads Up. Have you guys played that Heads Up app?
Heads
on
Up,
the
7-Up.
No, what is that?
Well, so they give you categories, and the person holds their phone over their head, and it says the thing that the other person has to act out. So the person acts it out, and if they guess it, then you turn the phone down, you get a point, or you can turn it up to pass. And boy, that game is really fun. Like, it's really fun with a lot of drunk friends, just kind of messing around. But I recommend you check it out.
You know, I have something else to talk about this week that I have not played it, unfortunately. I wish I had in the previous week, but I've been meaning to talk about it because I played it a couple weeks back. But it was the Overwatch beta, which is that Blizzard, online competitive FPS. It's basically, it's I mean, almost identical to Team Fortress 2 in a lot of ways, but there really hasn't been another shooter that's exactly like that. And it's just more of everything. And I mean, everything's way more beautiful, and there's 20-something characters right now, as opposed to Team Fortress's, 7 or 8 or something. And they're all pretty different. They're like a couple turret-oriented characters, but they're all different. One of them turns into a turret. The other one lays down a turret. He's very similar to the engineer from Team Fortress. Another one can throw down tons of small turrets on a cooldown, and they'll slow down enemies as well as do a smaller amount of damage, but they're easy to blow up. And then there's a couple different healing classes, and most of them have some kind of secondary abilities. Most of the characters use guns, but then there's at least one that just is melee, and he's got a big shield, and he's got like a rocket. It's like a rocket maul or something, and he can just shoot across the map towards enemies and just start bashing them with this giant hammer. And he's my favorite. They're super fun, and a lot of them are they're very different in terms of movement. Like, some of them have grappling hooks that'll get them up to any higher level. Some of them are just very fast on the ground, but and have a small jump. Some of them have a large jump. Some of them can teleport, so they can teleport up to different levels or behind enemies. Some of them, one of them has a very fast blink that's fully horizontal, but you can use it 3 times consecutively. So you can get across gaps and, get behind an enemy, and you might not be as strong, but you're extremely mobile, and you can turn back time and heal up. But I found it to be extremely fun, and that was just with a couple maps. So I think with a lot more maps and game modes available. A lot of people were calling it a MOBA, but I guess it depends how you would define a MOBA, because it's really just the same as Team Fortress 2. There's no creeps it's mostly like control point, game modes and stuff like that. But I think and there's no levels. Like, they all have a bunch of different abilities, and they all have an ultimate, but there's no levels. But I could see how they could make a MOBA game mode, which I think would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the game seems like super polished, but it's not coming out for 6 months. So, but they're going to let more people into the beta in January, into the closed beta, which I'm not in. And then open beta weekends they're doing occasionally for stress testing. But yeah, keep your eyes out for that. I was really impressed.
I'm actually really into these open beta weekends that we've seen with new games, because the stress tests. I think that's important for them to understand if they have the infrastructure that's prepared for the amount, like a much larger amount of players. And so many times they are not. Especially we've seen with Diablo 3 is a perfect example. When that game launched, it was just the servers were just bombed for a few days, I thought, or maybe just one full day. I don't quite remember, but it was terrible.
Yeah.
Everyone was so upset.
Yeah. The launch of that game is kind of permanently associated with with launch issues. I mean, sure, tons of people play it still, but it was rough.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, open betas. I mean, I think certain companies are like, well, you know, it's like giving out the game for free, but like, you're not gonna not if it's some online game like this, you're not gonna not buy it because you got to play it for a couple days, unless it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I've been playing the Street Fighter 5 beta for the PS4. I got it for pre-ordering the game, and I think they have pretty much every character that you can actually play in the main roster in the game, in the beta, I should say.
wow.
And I don't know, they're getting a lot of heat for the way that they're treating some characters. They're like, "Oh my gosh, this guy got nerfed like crazy," and blah blah blah. So I don't know. We'll see how that works for them.
Yeah. The amount of balancing and rebalancing, you know, with the game that's in beta too. I mean, Overwatch was saying, yeah, I mean, yeah, we all know that, you know, Bastion is overpowered, who is like a shielded turret character, but he's going to be unrecognizable in the next version of the game, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And also, you know, think about Dota. Like, you just don't know how to counter certain people, but I mean, some characters, if you've played against them even just a couple times, you learn, like, okay, well, they are hard countered by this other character or strategy, and, you know, you don't have to worry about this guy.
I'm trying to think a good example is probably, like in Dota, there's so many examples of characters that you just think are, like, absurdly good. Like, there's nothing anyone could possibly do to, you know, protect against this person. So when you see him get queued up, you think, like, well, fuck, I guess we're just totally fucked. Like, I remember back when we started playing Dota, like, Huskar and Silencer are two, like, great examples. And then you realize that these characters aren't really played that much, so they must not be that overpowered.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And they're not.
And they're not, yeah.
And even if certain characters are overpowered, they a lot of times will demand a much steeper learning curve, or, you know, they might demand, like, maybe they can snowball really easily, but you got to execute perfectly in the early parts of the game. So if you can take them out early, then, you know, they're nothing to worry about.
Right.
But yeah, Bastion is a character in Overwatch that everybody was saying that about in the beta, because he's got, and he is certainly good, but he's got a shield and an unlimited turret, and he can also repair himself. So you can just set up in certain areas, you can set up in a corner of the room and just annihilate people, and there's not much you can do. Except you can change characters instantly. I mean, every time you die, or if you're in your base, and you can just swap out like Team Fortress 2. And there's a character, Reinhardt, who's the hammer guy, who can just blast across the map. He has a shield, so his turret's basically useless. He can blast across the map and just bash him apart in a couple swings. And then there's another character who, another turret character, Symmetra, who can just shoot these energy balls. Her normal charge attack just shoots through any material, so it just goes straight through his shield and kills him. And he can't move because he's a turret, so... yeah, it's just becoming obvious that even in that game, some characters are better than others, but everybody has a counter.
I think it's cool how you can switch characters. You touched on that for a second. How you can switch, like, you die and you can just repick who you're playing.
Yeah,
that's great.
And there's 20-something characters, so that was honestly the best part, because your team might be getting slammed or something, but you can really, like, I mean, you know, there aren't any levels, at least in this one game mode. And you can switch to other characters, and everybody has a counter, so you can say, well, fuck, this guy keeps playing Bastion, I guess I'll switch over to Reinhardt and, you know, kick his shit in. And then you do, and it's fun, and it feels really good. So I was a little bit concerned about that at first, because I'm like, well, it's, you know, kind of cool to commit to a character and whatever, but, like, actually playing it, it's surprising that they don't do that more often. And maybe they don't in a lot of MOBAs just because it's, you know, you level, so, and you buy items and things, so you're very sort of invested in a specific character. And if they do a MOBA mode, maybe maybe they won't let you switch. But yeah, I liked it because it can really turn the tide of the battle.
I'm kind of excited. It's a $60 game, and you get it all. You know, when's the last time a game like this came out that's just a full game?
Yeah, it is. It is strange, and I mean, you hear some. Is it $60? Is that what it is?
I think so, yeah.
It's like, you know, you wish that it's a little bit cheaper, but then you think, and some people are like, well, you know, if it's just like a competitive thing, like Team Fortress is free to play, but But also, like I said, it seems extremely polished, and it's 6 months out. And just, last time that open beta weekend happened, they threw in 3 new characters that were all extremely unique. And so, I mean, who knows what they'll add? I'm really expecting to see a lot of cool new game modes. That's what
Oh.
I'm really hoping for, is for a MOBA game mode.
Ethan in the
and if they
chat
do
said that it was $40, so I might have been wrong.
Aha, $40.
Or he might have been wrong. Who knows?
I'm going to assume
honestly,
he's right. And
Yeah,
we're
he
wrong.
sounds like
He sounded more confident.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was extremely fun. And you can wait for a sale, but it is Blizzard, and you don't necessarily see sales through Blizzard as often as you would Steam.
Unless their
Yeah.
games are doing not great, like StarCraft. You see that all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Then you can pick up Heart of the Swarm for $10, like I did. But
Yep.
yeah, I think that game's gonna be huge.
Cool. That's good to know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about...
Go ahead. Sorry.
We were going to talk about games of 2015. Do you want to start that, or
Yeah.
did you have more? Did you want to talk? Did you have something else?
I
you were
was
gonna
just
say?
saying, I've been going through this list, writing down the list of releases in 2015, writing down games that I cared about.
I see. Well, that's. I feel like 2015 was a huge year, not just in gaming, but in fictional media in general. We saw so many great movies out this year. I feel like TV is sort of in a new golden age,
Yeah.
and I think cinema, at least like fictional cinema, entertainment cinema, is certainly.
I mean, music, too.
Yeah, there's been so many great things that came out this year, but I guess specifically for gaming, I'll be honest, I think maybe it's because of my channel. I feel like I game myself out specifically on the games I play to record, that I don't really get too many new releases. So I'm counting on you guys to kind of explain what you really enjoyed, to be honest. Because I know really big games came out this year. Like Witcher 3 was a big one.
Yeah.
Trying to think of something else.
Well, Bloodborne was this year.
Yeah.
And that was, I think Brett and I both loved Bloodborne, because that's something. It was something that was new but the same from Dark Souls, and that's what I wanted. Like, if you're talking about iterations if you're talking about sequels, kind of, and Bloodborne is not a sequel to Dark Souls, but that's what you want. You want it to be changed about that much, and but share enough of the same elements to still have the core game that you love.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Bloodborne was amazing. I'm still looking forward to playing that DLC.
Yeah, the DLC made it even better, so
Yeah, Brett's
that game
played
is incredible.
How have you enjoyed the DLC?
I liked it a lot. I'm actually stuck on the final boss, but I mean, I consider myself done with it in general, because I mean,
Yeah.
I just got to beat the boss and then I'll be done. There's not much after that. And so I mean, when this DLC came out, I started a new character too, and it's kind of like rewatching your favorite show. It's like you just notice things that are just so awesome about the game.
Yeah.
Second time through, and that game is just wonderful, because there's something about playing the Souls games the second time. It's not as much of a struggle, and it's familiar, not because you automatically know where to go, but just because it's familiar,
Yeah.
It doesn't sour the experience. It just kind of enhances it, because you're like, oh, I love this area, this place is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's really a game full of wonder.
I'll say something that I respect about you, Brett, is that you don't you play a game until you're done with it, and you won't necessarily finish it, because you're not a completionist, but it doesn't mean like you didn't really enjoy the game and get a lot out of it. And that's how I
Yeah.
was with Skyrim, but I find myself super completionist about most games, that a lot of games that I play, and sometimes I just have to tell myself, no, Keith, you're not going to go through and get all of the achievements for this game. Just put it, you got a lot of other games, just put it down and do something else, and you'll enjoy the other thing more.
Yeah.
But,
Oh yeah, people talk about these backlogs. They're like, oh, I gotta finish Fallout 4, and I gotta finish The Witcher, and blah blah blah. It's like, why do you have to stress yourself out with these backlogs? I've got 450 games on Steam, and it doesn't bother me none. I'll probably never play any of them. I'm done with Fallout 4, and I probably didn't even scratch the surface of the story. I don't know. I just don't feel like going back to it. But I had a great time with the first week that I played it. and it was probably worth the $60 that I spent on it. But you know, if I get motivated to go back and play it, I'm gonna do it. But I mean, the same thing happened with The Witcher is a game that would probably be high up on my list too, but I never got to finish it, and I love that game. I just haven't found the time. So eventually I'm gonna get back to that. But yeah, it'll happen.
Maybe tomorrow, maybe never, but eventually.
I've actually thought about restarting it for like streaming purposes, but I don't know if that's a game that people would want to watch.
Oh, that's one of my problems too, though, is if I start a game and I only get like halfway through it and then I stop, I always am like, well, I got to restart it, and then I restart it and then I get halfway through and then I stop, and it's it's a really bad habit of mine.
I've done that with Borderlands. Like, it's fun. I don't know how many level 20 characters I have in Borderlands. I've never finished the goddamn game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if you guys have ever had a time where you like deleted your entire save on accident when you were real far into a game. And you're like, well, I'm probably never gonna play this again.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever accidentally done that, but I can imagine how terrible that would be.
You create a new character or something, and you're just like, well, yeah, let's just save, and then you save over your good save.
Yeah,
or
okay, I've done that.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, I've definitely done that shit. Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So here's a story of mine. This is it's mostly unrelated, but along those lines, one thing I used to do so many times, I would play Fallout 3, and I can't tell you how many times I started over in Fallout 3, because I would get to Megaton, and I wouldn't do any saving. I would just rely on the autosaves, and every single time I go into Megaton, I would try to do like some sort of sneaking around or pickpocketing people to get something, and inevitably, someone would find out. This happened, I'm talking like 5 or 6 times this happened. And then everybody would go hostile to me. And then I would think like, well, shit, like, I guess I can't come back to Megaton. I didn't know at this point that if you just waited for like a day, then they reset. I didn't know that. So I just assumed that Megaton was just forever hostile to me from that point on. So I restarted the whole game like 5 or 6 times because the game would have autosaved after I entered Megaton, which is after they were all hostile to me.
You know, I appreciate a way that you played that game because you created a character, and because people are like, oh, I'll be good and I'll be evil. And if you're evil in Fallout 3, what do? You go and you like talk to these aristocrat guys and you blow up Megaton to make land way for their parking lot or something like that. But you, like, if you think of it in a Dungeons and Dragons perspective, like that's like lawful evil, and you have like lawful good. You were like chaotic evil, by which I mean you just took a big hammer and every person you met, you just bashed their skull in. And people would come up and talk to you and be like, hey, I got this great quest for you, and you just crush their skull. and you just were like, I'm going to see how far I can get through this game.
Before just like it forces me to like be nice to one person.
I know. I wish that the game had a place for you where it was like I wish that games, because they don't have a place for people that are that messed up, and there should be a way to kind of complete the game. Like,
wasn't Fallout 4? Some people had problems with Fallout 4 because there wasn't really an evil path to take.
Yeah, you can't kill anyone.
You couldn't.
You can kill you can be sarcastic.
Uh-oh, watch out.
So you select the revealing sarcastic option, and it's like he just makes a stupid joke.
Wait, there's actually a sarcastic option?
Yeah, it's in the dialogue tree. It's so vague, so it'll just say sarcastic.
That's so silly.
Or sarcasm. Or
I can't believe that's a real thing.
Yeah, it's really too bad.
I wish it was just the same dialogue as the, good dialogue. But he just says it like that.
Yeah.
It's very rare that I go through games and try to do the evil path. I'm doing it with Mass Effect now. I haven't played it for a while, but because I've been sick. But when I get back into it, I've been trying to do the Renegade path, because I've played through the Mass Effect trilogy 7 or 8 times at this point, and have every single time done Paragon. I can't bring myself to do it, and the more times I play it, the more that I get into this mindset of how much I love these characters, so I can't dick them over. So now I'm trying to do just a full Renegade playthrough. I'm gonna purposefully kill Rex and that kind of shit. I have to go into it like knowing that's what I'm going to do. And I did that with Fallout 3, and I just ran around with a sledgehammer and like a power fist, and eventually I got the shish kebab sword, and I would just kill people before I would even talk to them. Like, I went through the Megaton quest just to kind of get a feel for the game, and that's when I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to kill everybody. Because apparently, because I wanted to be like completionist and sneak through and get everything, but they kept going hostile, so I'm like, all right, fuck it. All these people are dead. Ugh.
Man. Yeah, I mean, I did like in Mass Effect how at times the renegade evil was sometimes you didn't know because sometimes it was like a renegade evil thing that you could understand because you'd be like, listen, I know you guys think that you have everybody's best interest in mind, but I'm smarter than you and I know better than you, and we got to kill these guys before they kill us, and that's cool. Like, I like that part, but you never knew what they would do when you picked the renegade option, because sometimes they'd do something like that, and then sometimes they'd be like, listen, Rex, you piece of subhuman trash, you're lesser than me, and you will be my slave. Just weird stuff like that, and it's hard to predict, because renegade could be anything.
Yes, I completely agree, and it's kind of the same with Paragon too. There's so many times it's like it sometimes takes it to an extreme, and sometimes it's great, because there's so many times like there's Paragon options that are like super awesome, and you're like, oh, this is great. Like, you're not being a huge dick, but you're doing what you need to do. And then sometimes with Paragon, on the on the other side of it, you'll someone will be like, please help us, we need help. And you're like, okay, here, let me go ahead and complete this quest for you. Also, here's like 500 credits. And you're like, I didn't want to give them money too, but like that's the only option.
With them and like,
no, pushover.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you want to do the full Paragon and get all the Paragon points, then like you have to do the Paragon option where it's like, oh, have all my money, please. You seem like you're down and out, and it's like, that's not what I wanted. Hey, it's terrible.
Sometimes you try to do. I'll try to do like, okay, I'm gonna react like, what would I say in real life? What would I do if I was this person and I had these responsibilities? What would I do? But it's hard because sometimes you can tell what the game wants you to do.
Yes.
Or like, would I really, like forgive this person who is evil and has dicked me over a bunch of times? I know that if I forgive them, like, they're gonna come around and they're gonna help me because they have some story arc. But in real life, like, this guy would go to jail, and I don't know. Or like, I would say, no, I'm not gonna help you with this because I am a Spectre and I'm trying to save the galaxy, and your shit is totally separate from that. It's irrelevant and it's a waste of time.
Got him.
But it's not my responsibility. But in real life, you're like, or in the game, you're like, well, if I do this, then I'm gonna get more power points to go towards my military goal. So,
yep. Another thing
tough.
too, with Mass Effect is you're rewarded for either going Paragon or Renegade. I mean, they fixed it a lot in the third game where they made it like Reputation or something like that. That was a big deal. But like the first game, if you don't do what you can to get like every Paragon point or every Renegade point, then you couldn't have certain conversation options. And it's kind of the same in Fallout. Like, they really make you put a lot of points into like speech or whatever it is if you really want that to be your forte, which is really unfortunate. And like it forces you to go all out with whatever you're doing. So like if you want Paragon points, you have to give that person money or something, And
Knights of the Old Republic and stuff, it's like you're too nuanced, so you're bad and you're not powerful at all.
Yes.
I think in Knights of the Old Republic too, they did have some middle of the road Jedi, which I thought was cool. Like, they weren't, necessarily good or evil, but you were rewarded for being good or evil, and you could kind of pull your allies in that direction. So by the end of the game, they would be good and evil too. I thought that was cool too, because it really kind of shows your agency and like how your conversations with these people matter.
Yes. Yeah, I actually liked that quite a bit. It was a shame that the game was mostly unfinished, but I did like a lot how you could, make your allies function in different ways based on what you said to them, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's any other game that really does that. There probably is. I mean, Mass Effect 1, the way you talk to Garrus, does change what his attitude is like, but it doesn't really have a real effect on anything.
Yeah, those BioWare games.
Yeah, they put a lot of effort into that kind of shit.
Yeah. What else we got here? Yeah, so Fallout 4 I haven't played through yet, but from what I hear, it seems to satisfy for the most part.
Yeah.
More Fallout, mostly what people expected. I mean, they have some small complaints, but I think most of them are at least kind of trade-offs. Like, because it's voice acted, people feel like there's less options because, I mean, you're more limited, or I don't know. They don't feel like the character is as much them because of the voice acting, or some of them say like, well, they should have focused more on the story or the gameplay instead of the building stuff. But a lot of people really like the settlement building, so I mean, they're all trade-offs, I guess. So there's that one.
I wanted to mention Super Mario Maker.
Oh,
That
yeah.
game that is a killer IP there. That is quite the game. Because there's something for everyone. There's something for the creator, and there's something for someone who wants an infinite
Yeah.
number of Mario levels, which is pretty much anyone.
And I'm surprised they got as many people on board as they did, because you hear Super Mario Maker, and I kind of think a lot of people would just be turned off by that name. You'd be like, sounds like a whole thing. Sounds like a chore.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah,
but
and they're continually updating it too and adding new features and whatnot. So it's really cool.
yeah.
It'd be
Yeah,
cool to
but-
see if eventually they add like another Mario mode. I think that's one of the coolest things, in my opinion, is how you can play through the different, not really generations per se, but the different styles of Mario through like the Super Nintendo years.
Oh, so you mean like
Yeah.
adding in a different game?
Yeah, like
engine
what
or
if they added in
essentially?
Yoshi's Island and then you had the ability to have Yoshi with Baby Mario, and like the game would completely change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the way stuff like that affects existing levels and stuff. And I think it's so the idea that like, you can make whatever level you want, and as long as you personally can finish this level once, then you can put it up online and other people can play it. And I think that's a really cool idea, because it's sort of self-moderating in that way. They're like, well, someone can fucking finish this, so yeah, put it up.
Yep.
I think that's a cool idea. But it's I mean, it's great to see any kind of, even if it's based on an existing one. It's really cool to see any new Nintendo intellectual property. People really liked Splatoon, which came out this year, which is another new Nintendo property.
Yep.
Which I haven't
It's a lot
gotten a
of fun.
chance to play, but yeah, I mean, I feel like when you see new Nintendo IP, it's good. Which is
Yeah, they
I
still
don't know.
got it somehow.
Well, I think the problem is, excuse me, still recovering. The problem with Nintendo is that they have to play it safe because their business hasn't been doing well. The Wii did very well, but after the Wii, like their most recent console, Wii U, has done so poorly that I think they have to play it safe. And to play it safe, they have to pretty much make the same shit,
Yeah.
which they're pretty good at doing. All right, like people complain, "Oh, Nintendo, you're making the same Mario games and Zelda games over and over," but people love them, which is exactly
Yeah.
why they're doing it. I'm not complaining. I mean, you can recognize that they do that and not be unhappy with it. But I don't know. I agree though that every time they do a new IP, it generally turns out pretty well. It's just unfortunate that we don't see more. Speaking of Nintendo, I saw. Did you guys see any gameplay from the new Star Fox at all?
Yeah.
Because I don't know what Let me know what your opinion on it is, because I thought it looked terrible.
Me too.
It looked
Yep.
It looked from like not even last generation, but almost 2 generations ago. That's how old it looked.
It's so sad. It just feels sad to me because, like, it's one of those ones where everybody's like, yeah, why don't they make a new Star Fox? Why don't they make a new Star Fox? Why don't they make a new Star Fox? Because everybody really enjoyed it. But then it comes, you see a preview, and it's literally like, it just looks like the old Star Fox, and everybody's a little, like, they were hoping they would reinvent it, like it's basically saying, I don't know what I want. I don't want exactly. I want Star Fox, but I want you guys to reinvent it in a cool way. And yeesh, it looks really bad.
But that brings up a good point too, though, on the alternate side of people who have sort of unrealistic expectations. I think we can objectively say that the new Star Fox does not live up to current console generational standards, but at the same time, like, these, the executives of Nintendo are just sitting in a mansion somewhere right now, enjoying their lives, and we are, we're just like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know, we could have been done this way. Like, is it really any? I don't know. It's funny to think of a lot of online critique these days, and how it's handled when these things. I guess the Star Wars prequels, another good example, very topical as well, where people just. They have so much to say. We're talking about them years later, and George Lucas is a millionaire, a multimillionaire, and we're just like, well, they could have done it a little different. I mean, maybe Jar Jar Binks shouldn't have been introduced in the movies, and maybe Sebulba should have been the one that they talked to instead, the other cartoon creature, like things like that. And people just like they'll talk about it forever, and then people just get like vitriolic about it, and it's funny to think like how seriously we take some of these things.
And a lot of the things aren't obvious. Like, as much as I will, criticize the Star Wars prequels, I think they were close. Like, I think they were close, and there were just a couple of, like, maybe unfortunate things, that could have been changed to fix it. However, we maybe have a good idea of how they could have been made better. And that is how many years after they came out, with how many internet discussions of everybody collaborating and like trying to figure out like, oh, well, this was what was wrong and this was what was wrong, and all those red letter media reviews. And like, so after all of that, and maybe we know what we could have done to fix the prequels, and maybe not. Maybe none of it would have worked. So, yeah, I find it strange too. Yeah. Armchair filmmakers and... Like, it's sort of, and at the end of the day, it's really just like, well, we don't really know what we want, but we know it when we see it.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys figure it out and don't fuck it up. Screw it up.
That's the risk you take when you're a content creator in general. I mean, even just for this podcast, one day, it hasn't happened yet, but one day we'll get some really negative comment from somebody, and I don't know, especially just being on a relatively small. Like, I have a pretty good sized channel, but, comparatively to the huge channels, it's still kind of small, but I'm big enough to get, like, you get people who just sort of drop by, and they're just like, this is stupid, you're irritating. And you just think, like, why? Like, what? Again, it's like the armchair criticism. You're just like, why bother even typing that?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think people, it's the same thing with many... things like I could say I did the same thing, saying like, Star Fox, saw it, looks stupid, but it's just it's bothersome. I don't know.
That's our role as consumers, though.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Just to be judgy.
But sometimes I'm not really prepared for it. Waking up, it's 6:30 in the morning. Oh, I'll check my YouTube notifications. And you just see, like, your voice is AIDS. That's something I got. You're not prepared for that early in the morning.
You think you're funny, but really you're irritating and stupid.
Yes,
like,
yeah. We've certainly gotten that.
Oh, my God. Thank you.
And Ethan says you just have to ignore people like that. I completely agree. Again, if at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I just delete them and I don't think about it twice. But, again, when it's early in the morning, sometimes you're just not ready for it.
Yeah. You can keep up, you can keep up your armor for most of the time, but occasionally something gets through.
Yeah, it grates at me, and it's not just like at me. It's just seeing like the way that some people handle critiquing just random stuff. I think it's an internet phenomena, right? People are just assholes because of the anonymity, but then also it's just. I think because we live in an age of information and the ability to say what's on our mind in so many different forms. People just assume that what they have to say is important at all, and it's not. It's really not.
Yeah. Maybe within, small groups or something like that. Like, it's, it's fun to talk about stuff, but just be mindful.
Yeah.
And it's, you can't control everybody, so people will still do that, but...
and so some of it is like you have to earn it a little bit. Like... For us, we have a podcast because we're on a channel that we've earned viewers, and if you haven't earned viewers, then can't really. Yeah, I don't know. It's bothersome. Like you don't have the right to be necessarily listened to all the time.
It's almost like you have to earn the negative stuff because at the start, like most people, the vast majority of people are positive, but you get everything.
Yeah.
It's like nothing's really filtered. So the bigger you get, the more likely it is that you're gonna have little little shit storms here and there.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys played? Have either of you played Just Cause 3?
Nah.
So I'm really looking forward to it, but I don't know if I should wait until it's on. See, I know it's just going to be a sandbox, and I can't let myself get disappointed when it's not anything more than that. But you just like look at the GIFs on the top of Reddit gaming or something like that. It's amazing, like the stupidest stuff. It's so cool. Like
I bought Just Cause 2 for $3, so
yeah.
buyer beware. I don't know.
Yeah.
Those
I thought
games
Just
are-
Cause 2 was pretty good though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It was a sandbox, and the not much to the campaign, but I think it's probably really similar, except the physics engine's updated, the graphics are updated. I mean, it looks pretty beautiful and more vehicles and stuff. But you see stuff like you put C4 on train tracks, and then a train comes by, and you're kind of on a cliff, and they blow it up, and the train goes flying and spinning, like still attached to each other, like a giant, snake just like tumbling down the mountain, just smashing other cars off, and you're like flying in a wingsuit next to it. Just you can really create some pretty cool moments, but you wonder how much, how often are those moments compared to time spent setting stuff up and just kind of, mediocre combat or whatever. I heard people saying it was kind of annoying, considering it was mostly a sandbox. It's kind of annoying that you have to unlock everything because they're like, I just want to do the cool stuff now. It's all I care about. And if there's not much to the rest of the gameplay, maybe, just give it to you. But I think they wanted to add some depth to the game. They built a big sandbox, and they thought, okay, how do we add depth to the game? How do we add replayability? So, but it always, in games, it kind of sucks when you spend all the time to unlock the big cool thing, and then after that, the game's over.
That's true. Yeah, it's like you only can utilize it at the very, very end.
Wasn't that like Mario or something? Or no, they didn't even give you anything cool, did they? At the end of, was it Super Mario 64? And the end of it, you just get like 100 lives or something.
You can cannon your shot. You can shoot yourself to the top of the castle, and Yoshi is up there. Only if you have 120 stars, and he gives you 100 lives, and you're like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do with this, Yoshi? You dumb bitch! What am I gonna do with this many lives?"
Yoshi.
That's the biggest FU.
Yeah, like what a
Ever.
waste.
You totally mastered and accomplished everything you can accomplish in this game. Here are 100 lives. It's fantastic.
It makes me, it does. It makes me curious though, like, what's the point? There's so many instances where you think like, what's the point of even bothering with being a completionist in many points? Like, I think in today's day and age, we have a lot of achievements. So you get that you get something which isn't it's literally nothing, but it's more than it's more than not having an achievement, but otherwise it's not anything else, But I guess back in the day, for those kind of games, you would just be a completionist to be a completionist. There was no reward. There's no secret ending. I guess the fact that you could see Yoshi at all was kind of a thing.
Yeah. In some games, it was kind of crazy because in some games they're like, if you 100% it and get everything, then you get the perfect ending. And sometimes that was true, and sometimes it wasn't, and it was just like a weird internet rumor that didn't actually pay off, and you just spent hundreds of hours to do something, and you spent hundreds of hours in Final Fantasy VII or something because people said, "Oh, you unlock Sephiroth if you get everything." Nope, no, you don't. You do not. But,
spoilers, spoilers now. You don't.
Yeah.
What if they added that to the remake just to fuck with people, like it's actually in there?
Yeah. That's gonna be. Yeah, that's interesting how they split the remake into several games. I haven't decided how I feel about it. Like, I guess I understand. I think we all knew like eventually they're gonna have to do that, but they're holding on to it because this is their cash cow. They've got so much nostalgia for this game that they will make so much money off the remake. But I guess I didn't expect it. I guess I didn't expect the extent of it. I didn't expect it to be split into multiple games. But their point is good that if they really want to do you know a really good job and change things and add things and make scenes more complicated, which they seem to have done, at least from the small trailers that we've seen, then it's going to be an extremely long game because the original games were very long, even by modern standards, and now it's going to be that, except every environment they have to build with. I don't know.
It's a big
I'll probably buy it.
Bottom line, probably buy it.
Yeah.
I'm okay. So we're nearing the end here because it's 8 o'clock. We started a little later, so we're at the let's tell some anecdotes point of the show.
Oh shit. Was I supposed to think of something?
No, don't you worry, Brett. You weren't prepared last week, but I think you'll have something for this week. And if you don't, I think I have more than enough. So share a story from either your first job,
Yes,
or from a shitty job that you've held later in life.
Oh, just in general?
Well, something amusing,
Okay.
preferably. One time a customer came up and he said he wanted to use his American Express card, but we didn't take American Express.
So you can take the American Express right on out of here. Well, I guess I'll start. I have something. I was actually going to tell this last week, but then I didn't. I used to work at Rite Aid, and we had this one customer who would come in, and she would just talk to us constantly. Excuse me. And she would talk to herself, and she would talk to customers that passed by. She just needed to keep talking, and it was real disturbing sometimes, just because if you're checking out people and then she's just talking like, "Hey, Brett, how much are these on sale for this week? You gotta tell me." And I just don't look at her. I don't make any eye contact. And she's like, "Well, maybe I don't actually need these this week. I gotta get my cigarettes. I gotta get the Gatorade. But so this one particular time, she is I don't know. I think she had just had surgery or something. She wasn't very healthy. And so I was like, if you need any help, let me know. And that was a mistake. So I had a line of customers, and she's like, "Hey, Brett, Brett, you gotta come help me get this Gatorade. I'll just be back here on the Gatorade. Just help me with the Gatorade."
Ugh.
All right, Lisa, just a minute. And she just kept yelling at me, yelling for me, and she meant well, but boy, she just had no boundaries.
Yeah, it's weird when you get regulars like that, and you know that there's something going on. There's some people are just nice, and some people who are just a little off.
I live in a pretty innocent town, but the Rite Aid was in a pretty bad part of town, I guess. I mean, it's not like crime, but I think just a lot of drug problems. So
Yeah, and you're like, and the hard part is you're like, I'm more than happy to I can kind of deal with, I can help you out if you're you're on your own or something, but if there's other customers there, you're kind of forced into a position where you just ugh, I have to nip this in the bud, or what do I say? Do I have to just ignore it, or?
Yeah. But as time went on, I kind of learned how to deal with her.
Blatantly ignore.
Yeah, pretty much. Lisa, listen, I gotta do this.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Keith, do you have anything?
Yeah, so I worked at Chipotle, and that was my first job, and it was fine, but it was at a mall, and it's just you learn to tune it out, but people are I don't know, people are just assholes sometimes, and I know they're very wrapped up in their shopping at the mall, and they just treat anybody in the service profession like crap. And there's a woman who came in who was I don't know, probably like mid-30s or something, and she was like already clearly frustrated. I don't know what was going on in her day, but she comes up to the counter, and we have like policies. We're taught how much of everything, all the food to give, right? And so you give her the basic amount. And here's the thing about Chipotle that you may not know is that you can ask, like, as long as it's not meat or guacamole, you can ask for as much of anything as you want. But we have to put a certain amount every time. So if you ask for cheese, we put an ounce of cheese or something on there regularly, and you say extra cheese, we will put another ounce on. If you ask for more cheese, we'll put another ounce on. And you can get as much as you want, but that's what we're limited to, and that's what we're taught. Like, this is how much you give the customers. This is how much they probably want, and beans and fajita or salsa or whatever, sour cream. But she comes up and she says like, "Oh, I'll have a chicken burrito," and so I make it, and then I put the normal amount of cheese on, and she looks at it and she looks at me with disgust, and she's just like, can I have a little bit more than that? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I put another shot glass worth of cheese on there, and then she's just like, just forget it, and she just storms out and leaves her burrito there. And I was just like, boy, I don't know what happened in her day. And then one other story I'll say really quick is there's like a homeless guy who came in and he and I think we saw him a couple times, and every time he came in he would say like, yeah, I got a burrito here yesterday, and that guy made it for me, and I said that I didn't want and he kind of like scans, and he said the red, I said I didn't want any of that on there, and he put it on there, and so I want a free burrito. And like, we all knew that he didn't come in there, and you kind of want to call him on it, but our manager would just say like, just give him one, just every time. He's like, it's not worth it, like he's just gonna be weird, and just give it to him and leave.
So that's how to get.
So we did it every time. Every time he came in and he'd accuse someone else of, like, he'd be like, yesterday I was in there and I ordered it, and I said that I didn't want the red, and it was obviously something off, because he said it every time, like, it's always the red, and he'd make up something else, like, no, my wife's allergic to it and it was for her, and so I want a free one. So,
oh boy.
Every time we're just like, yep, here's a free burrito, see ya.
God, I feel like I've suppressed so many memories, because I worked at a pharmacy, just like you, Brett, and I just, for years, like before college and then just after college while I was looking for a job right out of school, and it was just, I don't know, there's so much to it that I don't even want to think about, because like I remember having so many crazy stories, and not that many of them are really coming to me right now because of how horrible everything was. I think I've just suppressed it. But there was one in particular, and I think I was 16. I was young, like I had just started working. And my manager says it looks like so at our pharmacy we had a dumpster that was separate from the building that was gated off, and then we had a trash compactor attached to the building with a gate around that. And he says it looks like somebody drove by and threw trash bags over the gate by the trash compactor. I need you to go back there and move them into the dumpster. So I get back there, and I open up the gate, and it just smells like rancid meat. Like just disgusting, horrible meat. And like, but worse than like if you open your fridge and something has gone bad. Like much, much worse. Like I was concerned, so I'm like gagging, and I have a shovel, and I'm like scooping it up and moving it a couple feet, and then I have to like scurry away because I'm like dry heaving at the time. Otherwise, I would just have thrown up. And so I take one over, and it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but I don't know how else to describe it other than to tell you that it was very clear that this bag was just full of not meat, but just remains. Just remains. Like not bones, but like just squishy flesh. And then the other bag was clearly full of like sheared fur.
Jesus.
I still don't know where it came from, or like how this happened, or what, but it's still like, it scares me to think about it. My first thought was, because I didn't see the second bag with the fur, I'm like, there could be like a dead child in here. It was a bag that could have just been full of fetuses or something.
Jeez.
There's no way I could have known. So we called the police, and the police came by, and I'll never forget the look on this guy's face as he walked into the front door, just like pure misery. And he's like, "So I opened the bags," and he said it is like somebody had clearly killed an animal, and they had sheared it and put like the sheared fur in one bag, and then it was like the guts in the other one, and the poor guy was just miserable, and I mean, who wouldn't be? And we still don't know like who or why did it, because you have to imagine where this was right in the middle of a suburb. Like there was like developments of houses around there, and you drive down the road, and there's like a corner with a pharmacy and like a small shopping plaza next to it. So it was like not somewhere in the middle of nowhere where you might expect someone to have killed an animal.
Yeah.
All right, here's my prediction so that I can sleep at night. It's one of these people that lives in the suburbs but like fancies themselves like a, is redneck an offensive term? I don't know. I actually don't know that, but fancies himself like I'm a country boy or something, but they never actually hunted. So they go out to the woods and like kill a deer, and then they realize they have no idea how to prepare it. So they like kind of try, and they like shear the hair off, and they're like, well, this thing is fucking rancid, so I'm just going to throw it in trash bags and dump it in the CVS parking lot.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened. And the smell is like, unless you have like really smelled something rotting and dead, is horrible. Oh god, it was terrible. And just to think, and then they, I imagine they like panicked. They're like, what do I do with this? And so they're like, oh, I'll just throw it into the trash compactor area at my local pharmacy. Thanks, person. Oh, that was the worst.
Jesus.
Yikes.
And the number of like stupid customers, that's a whole different ball game. But
oh yeah.
Well, hey, this is a good week. We talked about 2015 in gaming. I'll go ahead and upload this. Lower viewership this week, but I think it's because a lot of people are traveling for Christmas. It's that time of year, but hey. I hope you guys have a good Christmas, and I'll talk to you when we all get back.
Yeah.
Yep,
Everybody
thanks for
take
tuning
care of
in,
yourselves.
guys.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a real ride.
A wet and wilds
Wet and wild.
ride. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.